Welcome everybody to Core Contemporary. I am Nancy Good, gallerist and curator of this show, and also an artist, and have our nonprofit here as well. So I am excited to see all of you. Thank you for coming out and supporting not only your friend Zoe, but also a local artist. That's what this space is about, is supporting local artists, providing opportunities for local artists, and having spaces that actually help them develop as artists. And I love watching Zoe's awareness has been shifting as to how she looks at herself as an artist over the years. And I feel just delighted that I've been able to watch that happen from day one when you submitted to the first juried show at the upstairs space. So anyway, I'm not going to talk a lot for me, but I do want to invite you to look at Zoe's artwork in a way that maybe you wouldn't expect or think of at first glance. Obviously, she's got some really interesting works, very detailed, very intentional, but there's an underlying humanity to them. There's a storytelling to them. Art is a language, and art is what allows us as human beings, as artists, to express what it's like to be a human being. And so Zoe has brought a lot of that to her storytelling in this space, her storytelling with the portraits, her storytelling with the encrypted 10 chapters, which I just was so delighted when she did all this. And so it's a journey that we all get to take with her, with other artists as well. And anyway, without further ado, I would like to introduce Zoë Camper to you all. And we're going to let her talk a little bit about her art, but we're also going to be opening it up for questions, because yes, you don't give me that look like, what, questions? This will happen. People want to know more, and that's a good thing, that invites dialogue at any stage of an artist's development and career. And so, Zoë Camper, everybody.
So I have actually made notes just to make sure I cover everything, and I'll do some thank yous at the end. But thank you for being here this evening. It's great to see you. Some of you are actually on the walls, Tiffany, and a few others as well. So I thought I'd start with just a very quick sort of history of how I got here, very quick. Clearly from my accent, I'm not from here. I'm from London, lived in London 30 years, born in London, and then met my husband, and one day he said to me, "How would you feel about living in Vegas?" And I said, "Yeah, whatever, of course, let's do it," not thinking ever that it would actually happen. And then it happened, and here I am. And I've drawn all my life. I've been an artist. I've had this thing about wanting to create, wanting to make things, draw things. It's always been in there, but I've struggled to actually call myself an artist. And so Nancy and I have been talking about this, and I feel like I can say it now. And I have been able to say it for some time. But what's interesting is when it comes to it and you ask people to come and look at what you've done, and you're standing next to things that you've taken a very long time to make. And that's something that's important to me, is I want you to see that I'm putting effort in to what I'm making and what I'm drawing. We were out with some friends the other night, and one of the friends said, "Oh, we saw some works and I thought I could do that." And it raises the question of what makes an artist and why people are or are not artists. And I first thought, well, you didn't do it, is the first thing that I thought, in the nicest possible way. I didn't just go, well, you didn't do it. I said, it is a matter of doing it, actually. And then it's a matter of actually standing by it and letting your best friends look at it and then look at you and say, wow, you know, actually that's really good, or that's really detailed, or I could have done that. And I'm trying to create something that perhaps you wouldn't have done or wouldn't have thought of. And there's lots of things going on in my head all of the time, and they need a place to be, which is why I have to be an artist. I've got no choice, basically, about this. And somebody actually asked me if I ever take drugs. It would be a disaster zone if I did that. I really don't need that kind of help. This is what's going on inside every day. So when you look at these things, if you can imagine what it's like, it's a really good thing that I can get it out on paper, because otherwise I dread to think what would be going on. So anyway, let's start with the casino drawings here. These drawings, the 3 on this side and the 3 on the other. Now, if you look at these drawings, they have something similar in each. And that is that they have the sky and the earth in them. And then they have these characters called callers. The callers lived with us in London, and I would draw them from inside my head in different scenes, but they were always fantasy scenes. And then when we moved to Vegas, I thought, wow, what an incredible city. This city is built to have fun in. And the callers, like, they're happy. They are telling you to live your lives as fully as you can. And if you can't do that in Vegas, or you can't bring a self to Vegas that enables you to do that, then I think you have to kind of have a look at yourself and ask yourself what it is, why you're here yourselves. What do you get out of Las Vegas? And I also didn't want to come here and forget that the Strip was just, 6 miles away from where we live. So the callers are bursting up through the sky, and they're literally saying to you, come and have fun in a place that's absolutely nuts, that's real and that isn't real, that's what you make it. And it's what you take when you come to a city like this, or what you bring to it, that makes it the city that I absolutely love. And I wasn't sure if I would when you said we're going on, yeah, okay, let's get on the plane and try it out. But actually, Vegas to me is like a gift. And even things like the night sky, you do not see that in London. There's too much light pollution. Walking, going out and seeing new stuff, it's an incredible place. So I'm just very grateful. So I wanted to start drawing those. I'm moving on now to Caesar's is next, followed by Aria. So those are the ones I'm actually working on at the moment. If you look at them, they're all done as an indent. And I actually do them all with a pen that doesn't work, which is a weird way of doing it, but I'm very happy to explain that if you come and have a look a bit closer. But one of the things that's in them is this mark here. And this is basically a similar password to that that's used in cryptography, in blockchain. This is a hash symbol that marks an event or a process or a block or something that's happened. And I use these to actually map who's buying my work, where the work is in the history of my making, and each block forms a number that is a continual story. And it is about the storytelling that Nancy was talking about that is underlying all of this. This is the joy of being alive. That takes me on to the chapters, the 10 chapters. This is a story in 10 chapters here. Now this is a visualization of 10 blocks in my blockchain database. This is all created digitally, and I could have just put a thumb drive on the wall, and I thought, I can't really do that. I can't come to Nancy and say, look, I've finished. This isn't really gonna work. So I just thought, these are very meticulous and they take a long time to draw, so I wanted to have some fun with these. So when you look at these, they run in order in the 10 chapters. They are telling a story, and each one is also a standalone. It's a feeling, it's an emotion of my year last year, which was not the best year of my life. It was in many ways, but I was pretty ill for quite some time last year, so I'm very grateful to be here. I don't see what happened to me. I'm not grateful, I'm not a better person for it, but I have a different view now on what I'm doing with the time that the hundreds of years that I've got left. I am changed. So this change is depicted in these stories here. The left-hand side is the password or the hash. That's the password that would eventually, if you go through the cryptographic process, reveal the story which is written on the right. So it's quite a complex thing of public keys and private keys and all of that sort of thing, which I don't want you to worry about. But what I do want you to think about is privacy and what things you want kept to yourself and not shared. And this will be a question that you will increasingly have to ask yourselves as the web develops, as apps develop. There are times when you do not want to share anything with anybody else. And this is a kind of a way of helping me to tell that story, basically, so you can see the process that is going on there. Have a think about when you want something to be secret. When you're doing a bank transaction, you want that to be private to you. So what's private and what's revealed is what this group is actually about. The other thing to look for is when you're browsing on the web, look to see if you can see HTTPS when you're looking at websites. That traffic between you and the web server, I don't want to get too complicated, that's encrypted so that someone else on the Wi-Fi next to you can't read that. So a lot of my work is concerning privacy and sharing and illustrating that through storytelling. It's also, I've had for many years a passion with secrecy and hiding and creating worlds. And if you look in some of them, you've got a brown background here. Now, not the gold background, but the brown where you can see it's kind of mottled. This is baking milk. And I use baked milk to actually draw with. Why do I do that? I don't know. No, I'll tell you why I do it. It's because when I was little, I had an older brother. Anyone here with an older brother? Yeah, so they play with you, they can have fun. So just occasionally I would fight back. And I would send him secret messages written in milk. This is an example of one of the ones that I sent.
Oh.
Yeah, so Simon, give me back horse by 4 p.m. or else I will tell Mum. So horse was my stuffed toy. So he would frequently steal my stuffed toy and torment me. So I would write this out in milk and I would give it to him and I would expect him to put it under the grill and then be scared, be really scared by the message that would be revealed. And I started to use that again in the work, in the storytelling, in the hiding, not, hiding in a bad way, but just that revealing of things, which is where the cryptographic element comes back in as well. So that was also a great deal of fun to do. If you're interested in the process, I've written it up at the back there. The blocks basically end at 40 odd somewhere there, but every block, every piece that I've done while I've been in this country is part of that block. Some pieces are limited editions, so they have the same block. This is a prototype shirt. This is when I used a piece of encrypted output and I thought, well, that's not going to work. So I learned about hashing so I could turn it into something much smaller, which is what this is here, so that I could actually use it. This is also readable on your mobile phone. So when you make a purchase, you have that plus the public key. I won't go into any more detail. Please feel free to read it there. Just going back to last year, I was feeling a bit kind of vulnerable, I guess, and I started thinking about my friends and the friends that meant a lot to me, and some of them are 5,000 miles away. So I thought about a way of having them much closer to me. And so I decided I wanted to draw portraits. And I've always wanted to draw portraits. I've always wanted to be an artist that you can sort of look at and say that actually looks like something, not the fantasy that you see. So I wanted to do something realistic, but I also wanted to add something of somebody's character to it as well in the same style that I draw here. Tiffany's at the back there. Tiffany knows how to have fun very much. If I could be more like Tiffany, I would have just a brilliant life. She's got a roller coaster coming out of her head as a symbol. And I remember one day we were together and you looked at me and you said, "Let's go to Cowabunga Bay." And I'm thinking, I'm not sure if I want to go to Cowabunga Bay, but thank you. That was just one of those brilliant moments where, yes, that's the energy you've got. So I started drawing them. I started, my friend Julie here lives in England. She was the first person that I told that I had cancer, and she's just been absolutely brilliant. Diane, sitting there, we spent 6 weeks every day in radiation. And there was this grumpy guy called Edward, wasn't there, in between the two of us, who was the opposite of all of my political, everything about him was horrible. But he was also in a bad place, but I should probably say, Diane went in first, he went in next, and then I went in, and I was always a bit put off because he had prostate cancer. So I was getting in the same machine after him. Maybe it's not that funny. Maybe you have to be there to see that that's actually funny. But we would laugh ourselves inside out, wouldn't we, about the situations that we found ourselves in. So I started to draw those people that found themselves in a situation with me that was probably questionable, but were drawing. So everyone here has done something extraordinary in my life last year. And there are hundreds of more people that have done extraordinary things in my life. These are just the people that were there just at that time. The portraits have then become the bigger banners. And the bigger banners are what I then make into clothing. But it's also spurred on a project that will be in London in September. And that's about teaching people about ownership, privacy, and the enjoyment of art. So for the next 14 drawings, these people will have a 50% ownership of the banner, and whenever it sells, all of those transactions will be done on the blockchain, and they will then own a piece of art. They will understand about how cryptography works and how important it is as we all go through life and tech getting more and more complicated. And there will be a show just off Trafalgar Square in London in September. I'm a fellow of the Royal Society of Arts in London, and that is what's spurring this on. It's an absolutely fantastic organisation, and they're backing us to bring this kind of work. Nancy will also be involved. We've got 8 other artists in South America, East Africa, and all over the world, all doing different things to actually throw a light on why it's important to have artists in our lives, and why you are all artists, and why you can all do things, and why you can all, if you don't want to be an artist yourself, but be part of that world. So this is a project that will grow and grow, and if anyone is interested in being part of that, I would take your photograph this evening. They take quite a long time to do, but I will draw your photograph in this style, and then I will keep you informed of everything that's going on, and then you'll be part of that show in London. So if anyone is willing to do that, I would be very grateful. If we either take contact details tonight or whatever way we want to do it, so that I can draw your portrait and pull you into this world, which I absolutely love. And I've been given such an amazing opportunity by Nancy here, who has had the courage to let me put work in her gallery. And then one day, because I'm thinking, oh, why hasn't she asked me? I'd love to do a show. And I thought, no, you've got to do stuff. You've got to wait for that ask. Because I'm not going to go, Nancy, why haven't you asked me? And then one day, out of the blue, and I thought maybe a couple of years too soon, but one day, out of the blue, Nancy said, how do you feel about having a show? And I said, it's going to take a bit of time, but yes, please, and thank you. So this is the result of, and the joke is nothing drives an artist like a deadline, which is also very motivating and brilliant. But this is the result of about 9 months work, and just that drive to bring you something that I could stand by and say, I am an artist. So thank you very much. Nancy, you're amazing. Thank you.
Well, Zoe, amazing.
Peter, wonderful. Thank you.
Don't go anywhere. So I'd like to open this up to questions from people, because this is one very, very unique type of visual storytelling that I'm fascinated by, and I've watched her work for quite a few many years now. But please, yes.
I have a question. First, I just want to say thank you so much to the both of you. This is just lovely, just a gift this evening, and the complexity of your art. And this is very enriching for me tonight. Thank you. I would like to know a bit more about the callers. So they were a part of your art past fantasy worlds. Are they always fun creatures that are bringing about a feeling of kind of mirroring you and bringing this fun nature?
Yeah.
Or is that just in
So
the Las Vegas context?
The question is, were they always in a good mood?
Yeah.
The answer is absolutely not.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no. They used to be very grumpy in London.
Okay.
They were not in a good mood in England at all.
Mm-hmm.
And they were more a kind of exorcism, really, of the stuff that I can see in my head. And quite often it was a need to be figurative that was bringing them in, but no, they weren't. And then after last year, after moving to Vegas, which is a city in which I just find extraordinary in every way, I thought, if I can't have a good time now, it's all on me. So they became very happy. Yeah, they became joyous. Now they don't actually look it, but they are. And that is coming out maybe in this one here. You know, this one's just exploded. And maybe one day they'll smile, I don't know. But they really are saying, it's that inner kind of, wow, this is powerful, this is, just enjoy it.
Yeah.
But no, they weren't.
And why are they called the callers?
Oh, they're called callers because they're literally going, oi,
Oh,
you,
okay.
listen, is why they're called callers. Yeah,
They're verbal.
yeah, and they actually, in London, it's a place I made up called Urburain, which is where they live. And so they came out of there and they moved into Vegas. Yeah, yeah, but it's a whole nother world.
I'm going to ask the question that is important because it's part of your artist development. I remember originally asking about your artistic background, and you've done a lot of art. I mean, decades worth of art, and this seemed to be an unusual approach for someone who's done decades worth of art to be paper and pencil and all of this. And do you remember what you told me? Why you started on this smaller scale?
What, because they just take too long? Or there
Well-
was something more in depth?
Well, because no, it was a matter of it's all you had room for. Even it was that you were traveling and you were
Yes.
and you couldn't take all your stuff with you.
Yeah. So there was a whole load of art that I left at home. I would do sculptures in metal and ceramics and they're big pieces. And so, you know, some of that's sold, but some of it, my dad, who moved out into the countryside, he had a huge garden. So guess what was in the garden? So I created a sculpture walk in his garden for him, not just for anyone. And he had a wooded area that you could go in. But yeah, when you move whole countries, there are things that just don't come with you. And I remember Peter came over before me, and I remember looking around thinking, he hasn't taken anything. You literally a pair of pants in a suitcase. And I then realised, my God, I've collected so many things. But from that point on, it was just all paper. So, you know, you can pack paper very, you can make it small. Yeah.
And for me, that's I'm going to shift this so we can share it a little bit better. For me, that's a testament to life in general, is you can adapt, but especially for artists that one medium is never going to hold us. So if we have to let go of one medium, we will find another. And Zoe thankfully has found multiple others within this realm of paper, in a way that's, again, surprising and intriguing and original. I mean, we've got artists that are in this room that originality is a moving target. It, you know, almost anything that we do as you know, a living, breathing human being that we want to create, it's a moving target. Whether it's a new recipe, whether it's a new game, you know, I mean, anything. It's like, what's been done before? Okay, well, some of it works, but sometimes you really want something that nobody's ever seen, nobody's ever experienced. And I love that a simple piece of paper and pencil and a empty ballpoint pen turns into this.
So I had my original ballpoint pen until recently, actually. I had it for 35 years and it broke. So I took out the inside and I thought, this is going to take years to run this pen down, until I thought, hold on a minute, cut it off. And then just scribble every time I come in, and then, you know, eventually it will run out. But for a little while there I'm thinking, oh, God, this is over, I'm done. But I am going bigger with the fabrics here, the satins here. And when I exhibited last time, someone said, you know, you haven't got any colour in your work. I don't know how to do it. And there was some red in a picture, and that's a primary colour, so I thought, I can do that. I can do red. But now I'm starting to express, but I'm not doing that on paper. I'm very happy where I am with the drawings, and you can see that I'm wearing a piece. This is New York. And I'm very pleased to see Dan here, who is now the proud new owner of that drawing. This is the shirt from that drawing, and I now make more things as well, make lots of different kinds of clothes and all sorts. And so Tiffany over here on this piece, that will become a dress for her, and then I'll take a picture of that and make a pattern from that as well. So it will be kind of infinite, and it's a play again between what's real and what's digital, what's real and what's not. So this is just the beginning of these, and plus I wanted to do some colour for you, so that's the result of that.
Any other questions?
How long does it take to do a portrait like that, Zoe?
This one?
Yeah.
So 2 days?
Really?
2 days? That's really quick for me. That's really quick. And I'm doing it in exactly the same technique with the pen, and that's much quicker. And actually, if I'm in a hurry, I could probably do it in a day and a half. So as, what was it, November the 11th was coming up, I'm thinking. And then the quicker I did it, I did Lynn here, which I love actually. That was the fastest I'd ever drawn. Because I needed to get it in the frame. And then you sort of ask yourself, what happens when you actually speed up, when those weird things in life happen to you that change the way something else works? You either go with it, you make it good, or you stop doing something. So It all depends on how much time I've got, but 2 days.
Works well under pressure.
Under pressure, oh, a day. I could do it if I start early. Yeah, sorry, are you going somewhere?
No, no.
You need
The challenge has been issued.
Yeah, you've got a complex, very, stately face. So that could take longer.
Oh. Any other questions?
That's a friend talk.
No more questions?
I had another question, actually. These ones over here, you mentioned the milk, which I just love. It reminds me of like flan or some like caramelized condensed milk. But over here, there's some colors. Is that paint, or did you, just what did you use for the color? With the
So
blues and
pencils,
pencils. Okay.
yeah, and then there is a fibre tip in the blue and the red on number 10. And just to say, on these, we also did pirate islands. We would do buried treasure in the garden.
Yeah, flag.
This is a very versatile format. Should you want to, I don't know, get to know someone better or just frighten them. I'm not sure which, but I've just sort of did this as a joke basically for tonight, but honestly, this is what I'm doing tomorrow. Dear Peter, the Gucci shoes for the handbag are on sale. Thank you.
All right, well,
Yeah.
thank you, Zoe.
Oh, thanks for staying. That was absolutely brilliant. It's been phenomenal. So thanks for being here to listen. And that wasn't what I planned to say at all.
I told you.
I had it all
Told
written down.
you.
It's like, sorry, it all went out the window. But
Yeah, when I told her she was speaking, she's like, oh, I've got it all laid out, and I started chuckling at
Yeah,
her. I
right.
was like, you're gonna see something new happen. Anyway, again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for supporting Zoe. Thank you for supporting the gallery. It really does matter. Some of you are familiar with what the gallery does, some of you aren't. I also have a small artist-run nonprofit. At present, we have an artist in residence who is working in the nonprofit studio over there, and her show will open here January 13th, which is Friday the 13th. And Michelle Graves is her name, and she has been developing work around the concept of resistance. And I'm just going to leave it right there because there are so many ways to define resistance and think about resistance. We also have a small retail store here filled with local artists' work, very affordable work for those who are seeking to begin collecting, but also those who want to add to their collections. It's great work, it's worth collecting, and just keep tabs on the gallery, social media at Core Contemporary or corecontemporary.com. I do a newsletter as well, which I've been kind of remiss in getting out during the holidays, but there's a little sign-up sheet over there for an email if you want to be part of the newsletter. And I think that's it. So bye to all of you out there when this gets uploaded, and thanks for joining us. Thank you for supporting arts and culture in Las Vegas.
Sure.